Mark Carney. Mark Carney is one of the most influential names in finance and public service, and in 2025, he took on an even bigger role as Canada's 24th Prime Minister. Known for steering major institutions through global upheavals, Carney brings a steady hand and sharp mind to both economics and politics. Despite a successful career and an estimated net worth near $7 million, he's kept a reputation for modest living and strong family values. Raised in the Northwest Territories, Carney's early life shaped a grounded approach to leadership. He shares his life with wife Diana Fox, a fellow economist, and their 4 daughters. In this video, you'll get a closer look at the milestones, personal life, and lasting legacy that define Mark Carney's journey from banker to Prime Minister. Early life and family origins. Understanding where someone comes from often explains a lot about who they are. Mark Carney's story began in the north of Canada, shaped by a strong family, tight-knit communities, and values that carried into every chapter of his life. His upbringing balanced adventure and hard work, helping him build the discipline and empathy that people recognize in his public roles today. Childhood in Fort Smith and Edmonton. Mark Carney was born in 1965 in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, a town set among boreal forests and rivers at the edge of Canada's wild north. His parents, Bob and Verlie Carney, both worked in education. Bob served as a school principal while Verlie taught in local schools. This focus on learning was part of their daily life. When Mark was 4, his family moved to Yellowknife, and 2 years later, they settled in Edmonton, Alberta. Here, everyday life was bustling but grounded. Mark attended St. Rose Catholic Junior High and later St. Francis Xavier High School. True to his Canadian roots, he played hockey as a goalie in Laurier Heights and developed a love of sports and teamwork. Early mornings often included delivering the Edmonton Journal, a local paper route that taught responsibility before most kids even woke up. Educational journey. With ambitious parents and a natural curiosity, Mark always made education a top priority. His talent in school was clear early on, especially when he competed in academic quiz shows like Reach for the Top. This intellectual streak earned him a scholarship to Harvard University, a big leap from quiet Edmonton to bustling Cambridge. At Harvard, Mark studied economics, graduating with honors in 1988. While there, he absorbed the ideas of experts like fellow Canadian John Kenneth Galbraith. Harvard's diverse environment exposed him to global ideas, sharpening his understanding of how money, people, and policies shape the world. Family values and early lessons. Family remained Mark's anchor even as his world grew larger. Both of his parents modeled fairness and compassion, and their belief in education shaped not only Mark but his siblings as well. Daily life was thoughtful and ambitious, yet always close-knit. Carney's early years also included brushstrokes of history. His father's work at a federally run day school in Fort Smith connected the family story to a bigger picture, a period in Canadian history that included complex and sometimes painful legacies with Indigenous communities. This exposure to both triumphs and struggles in community building seems to have shaped Mark's sensitivity to the bigger social issues he would later handle in public life. Building his own family. Diana's background in development and policy adds another layer of wisdom and resilience to the Carney household. Their daughters are often kept out of the spotlight, but Carney has publicly credited his family with keeping him grounded. Lasting impact of early roots. The values, experiences, and relationships from Mark Carney's early years did more than shape his personality, they prepared him for every challenge ahead. Whether guiding national economies or taking on the role of Prime Minister, he brings the same honesty, focus, and steadiness learned from his family and early community life. These roots in both the north and west of Canada continue to shape how he leads and connects with people across the country. Distinguished career and major achievements. Mark Carney's rise from investment banker to central bank chief and, eventually, Prime Minister is a roadmap of bold decisions and steady leadership in times of uncertainty. His career is packed with defining moments, from global financial upheavals to efforts that set new standards in economic stability, climate action, and public trust. Here's a closer look at the highlights and accomplishments that make Carney's story one of lasting influence. Goldman Sachs and early financial leadership. Carney launched his finance career at Goldman Sachs, working across London, Tokyo, New York, and Toronto. His time there wasn't spent behind a desk, he advised clients facing monumental change. Two of his most notable assignments. South Africa's post-apartheid market reintegration. Carney was part of the team advising the country as it re-entered international markets. He played a role in helping shape a stable economic path after years of isolation, guiding them towards restoring investor confidence and economic growth. Russian financial crisis. Carney's expertise was also on display during Russia's dramatic default in free-falling markets. He steered teams through high-stakes negotiations with both government and corporate clients, bringing strategic clarity as the country restructured debt and markets. This period honed his skills for crisis management and international finance under pressure. Governor of the Bank of Canada, Financial Crisis Response. In 2008, Carney took charge at the Bank of Canada just as the world economy tumbled into crisis. His handling of the global meltdown set him apart. He moved swiftly, slashing interest rates by 0.5% weeks before many other central banks acted. He introduced conditional commitment, promising to maintain ultra-low interest rates for at least a year to calm markets and guarantee cheap borrowing. Carney's approach wasn't just reactive. He injected liquidity into Canada's financial system and made it easier for businesses and families to access loans. These moves helped Canada recover faster than other G7 nations, with the country posting a GDP gain of nearly 5% over the next 5 years, while others were still clawing back. Avoid any taxpayer-funded bank bailouts, thanks to Canada's conservative banking system and strict oversight under his leadership. Use public investments to cushion the downturn, keeping businesses open and families secure. Bank of England, reform and Brexit challenges. Carney's move to the UK in 2013 made headlines, as he became the first non-British governor of the Bank of England since 1694. The job came with no shortage of challenges. He broke tradition with forward guidance, signaling the bank's intentions on interest rates and tying future moves to unemployment levels. This helped anchor business and investor expectations at a time of high anxiety. Carney modernized the bank's communications, encouraging clear public messaging and transparency from policymakers, so markets could better understand central bank actions. He led institutional reforms that built a more robust regulatory framework and tightened up rules for failing banks, aiming to avoid another financial collapse. During Brexit, he acted as a stabilizing force, relying on data and experience to warn of the real economic risks tied to the UK's departure from the EU. When uncertainty was highest, he cut rates and ramped up asset purchases to prop up the economy. Global influence and policy leadership. Carney's reach has always gone beyond national borders. His leadership on the world stage stands out in several ways. Chair of the Financial Stability Board, here, he forged global rules to make banks safer and ensure countries work together on financial oversight. His efforts built the international response to the 2008 crisis and shaped the global banking reforms that followed. Climate action and sustainable finance. Carney didn't just focus on numbers, he became a leader in tying finance to the fight against climate change. As the UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance, he launched initiatives like the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, bringing together the world's largest financial players to support greener economies. Regulatory and trade advocacy. He pushed back against trade disputes and called for fair policies, especially during tense moments with the U.S. Carney consistently argued that economic growth can't come at the cost of stability or social trust, whether in Canada, the UK, or globally. Modernizing policy beyond finance. Carney's playbook includes major stances on inclusive capitalism, cross-border regulation, and the importance of open dialogue between policymakers, markets, and the public. Mark Carney's net worth and lifestyle. Mark Carney's approach to money and life stands out among finance and political leaders. He's earned millions in the banking world, shaped international policy, and now leads as Prime Minister of Canada. But behind the headlines, Carney's commitment to financial discipline and sustainable living has become just as noteworthy as his resume. Income, compensation, and investment strategies. Carney's net worth for 2025 is estimated at about $6.97 million. This figure reflects decades of success in both private banking and top public posts, plus a careful eye for long-term investments, not quick wins. His major sources of income include Goldman Sachs. Carney's early career at the Wall Street powerhouse included high-level posts across London, Tokyo, New York, and Toronto. Senior roles like co-head of sovereign risk and managing director put him at the heart of global finance, where he earned seven-figure salaries and performance bonuses. Central bank leadership. Bank of Canada Governor. His public sector salary here reached about $430,000 Canadian dollars annually, in line with executive benchmarks for central bankers. Bank of England Governor. The UK role paid roughly £880,000 per year, making him one of the highest paid public officials in Britain at the time. The compensation combined base pay, pension, and a housing allowance for his London stay. Brookfield Asset Management. After central banking, Carney moved into impact investing. As chair of Brookfield's Global Transition Fund, he focused on sustainable ventures like green tech and renewables. Some reports state his total package at Brookfield, including salary, bonus, and stock options, was valued in the multi-million-dollar range. Prime Minister's salary, taking office as Canada's PM, Carney now receives about $379,000 Canadian dollars annually. While significant, this public salary is substantially less than his past private sector earnings. Carney's investment approach balances steady appreciation with climate-conscious values. He avoids showy, speculative buys. Instead, he favors stocks and index funds. In line with the typical strategies of top executives, Carney holds a mix of equities and managed funds. Green investments. Through his roles at Brookfield and the UN, he advocates and allocates personal capital to renewable energy, impact funds, and firms driving carbon reduction. Real estate. His main real estate holdings are tied to family residences, his West London and Toronto homes, rather than sprawling portfolios or speculative property. He's known for pragmatic purchases, seeking homes that fit family life rather than status symbols. Lifestyle and personal values. Despite years in elite banking and politics, Carney remains known for modest living and steady routines. Friends describe him as grounded and practical, a leader who walks the talk when it comes to values. Some hallmarks of Carney's lifestyle include low-key spending. Carney does not flaunt expensive toys, cars, or luxury goods. He's more likely to bike to meetings than arrive in a chauffeur-driven car. Family vacations are usually balanced and focused on time together, not extravagance. Focus on sustainability. Carney's public dedication to sustainability is reflected in his personal choices. He supports climate-friendly initiatives at home, from energy-efficient appliances to solar installations, and a preference for ethical consumer brands. He advocates for reducing waste and prioritizing local, seasonal foods. Family-centric. Carney and his wife, Diana Fox Carney, a respected economist focused on development and climate policy, share a partnership built on intellectual curiosity and down-to-earth parenting. Their 4 daughters are raised with a strong sense of social awareness, privacy, and humility. Family dinners and candid conversations remain a priority. Active lifestyle. A childhood hockey player, Carney values physical fitness and outdoor activities. He encourages family hikes, sports, and time in nature. He is not a regular of exclusive private clubs, preferring accessible community activities. Intellectual and cultural interests. Carney enjoys reading widely, biographies, economics, climate science, and fiction. He supports the arts, not with flashy sponsorships, but through thoughtful involvement and attendance. Mark Carney's story is about more than big jobs and numbers. He grew up with strong values in northern Canada, built a career marked by steady hands and sharp thinking, and managed to avoid the excess that comes with wealth and power. From guiding the world's top banks through crisis to championing sustainability as Prime Minister, he's built a record defined by trust, action, and focus. His life is proof that you can reach the top without losing your sense of purpose or humility. Carney's achievements go beyond the balance sheet. They show how careful choices at home and work set new standards for public service and leadership. His journey can inspire anyone aiming to combine achievement, family, and values, even at the highest level.